All right, everybody, welcome back to Bourbon Banter Evans. Justin, what are the people in store for today?
Well, as you may guess by looking at our nice polos we have on, it is Masters Week here in Augusta, and we are in Evans, which is right down from Augusta.
Yep.
So Masters Week is the tournament they play at the Augusta National. So how about a little bit of bourbon and golf?
Sounds good to me.
And by the way, I like your really trippy, can't really read it shirt over
Yep.
here, polo, I should say.
Yeah.
And I've got the newer edition polo from this year as well.
Me too. Yep.
And as always, I usually wear some type of bourbon shirt, but I said it's golf week.
Yep.
Here in Augusta. It's huge. Lots of hospitality houses, lots of rentals, lots of bourbon being poured and consumed at bars.
That's for sure.
And bourbon and golf goes together. So why not do a quick video during Masters and try to get it out to give you guys our opinion about what we think bourbon and golf could be.
Exactly. And guess what? He does have socks on, but not bourbon socks.
They are
Master socks.
And do you approve?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. And so I'm going to try it this time. Normally Charles says it, but we're going to reverse a little bit. So thank you guys for following us. Like and subscribe.
Yep. Hit that button down below. Anytime you do that, you'll be able to know when we have videos come out, and that's what we need.
Hey, I'm going to get that intro eventually. Probably
You'll get it. You'll get it.
And so let's start with the first one that we see all the time. Now this is the Derby bottle with the Secretariat
Yes.
on it. Secretariat won it. Super fast horse.
Right.
And so let's pour a little bit of Woodford.
Which we already have in a glass.
Yes, and we're just going to top it off a little bit while we talk.
Yep. And of course, just like this bottle, it always spills a little bit.
Oh yeah. So Woodford, I don't think you're ever going to see not associated with some type of event. Woodford is just so well known at events, whether it's Derby Day, the official bourbon of Derby Day, whether it's golf and it being the Augusta National Masters Week, or it is at a party that you've been to, a wedding. How popular is Woodford at a bar setting?
Oh, I mean, you might not see the Derby bottle, but you see a Woodford bottle anywhere you go.
Oh, sure. And it's, the Derby bottle is just a really cool painting that they did with an author,
An artist.
An artist.
Yeah.
And then they took their picture and then put it on the bottle for the special edition. It's the exact same Woodford, nothing different with this Woodford, just a really cool picture of a horse that did something specific, special during a derby of some sort.
Yep, exactly.
And this is coming up May 5th. No, that was May 5th, 1973, I guess, with the Secretary. But this is, it's been on May 5th several times. I think it's May 5th.
I think
it's the weekend of May.
Yeah, I think it's the weekend of that.
Yeah, of May 5th. But, so anyhow, this is, I think, Derby 149. And that's what that one looks like. Each one of them has a specific number on there for the Derby. And I've actually got Derby 139, I think 10 years ago when I first started. Yeah.
Okay.
So I kept that one when I first started the store, which I no longer have, so we all know that at this point. But so cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining in. Grab yourself a pour and see what you guys, or let us know what you like for golf and bourbon.
Yeah, put it down in the comments. We'd love to hear it. I mean, I know there's probably a lot of people out there that love watching golf, but also love bourbon too. So, especially on Saturdays and Sundays.
All right, so while we drink this and talk a little bit about Woodford, let's not forget the other bottles that are up here. So we have Weller Special Reserve, that's the green label, and we have Eagle Rare. Now, my Eagle Rare is specifically in a decanter, and so just letting you guys know, this did come from this bottle, but I did decant it. I have been on a kick lately to put my Eagle Rare in this particular decanter, which isn't the tightest, but it does have a decent seal, because I think it does Eagle Rare right by getting a little bit of oxygen seepage into and letting it mingle while I drink it throughout the time period it takes me to consume that bottle. So a good 20 or 30 minutes I can consume that bottle.
Yeah. But no, and what I think we've gotten pretty lucky, we've seen it around the bars lately, especially here in the Evans area, is this Weller Special Reserve. We've been lucky to have that locally in the area quite
yeah, and it's pretty cool to see that at the bars, because we all know that one is allocated. This is allocated as well, and so is Eagle Rare. It's just allocated to certain degrees or levels, and Woodford just so happens to be this bottle because they only do that specific Derby bottle at certain times, but regular Woodford, you can find it all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about Woodford. It came out in the mid to late 90s, and the reason I say that is because it's arguably between 96 and 98 when it rolled out. I've got a copyrighted book when it talks about it from 98, and it talked about some of the first things going into 96, which is really neat. And so this is from Brown-Forman, and then it used to be LeBrot and Graham.
That's right.
And so it used to be on there, and now they've kind of changed it up where it's Woodford Reserve, which is still really neat. And then they used to have the batch number, coded on there, and you can actually go back to see what the batch was. And we actually came across a batch number 7 a long time ago and got some of the earlier batches for Woodford being made and consumed it. It's a completely different taste, and it's really unique.
Yeah, and one thing I also like about it is everybody's all in the toasted barrel kick, right? And we put this in our other video. Guess what? It's in a toasted barrel.
Right. They have a specific toast that they do for the Brown-Forman barrels, on their products, and there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if you like it toasted, watch the other video where we did toasteds, and honestly, give it a try. It's a great bourbon.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do with this one, if Charles is good with it, he is the time manager. We're going to move a little bit quicker through this one because this is just for golf and bourbon. Just a couple ideas of what we've been seeing at the bars during the hospitality houses Masters Week. And so the reason we call it that, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with Masters Week, but it lasts the whole week. Starting, technically it lasts longer than that now.
Right, it does.
We have the Annual, which is the ladies amateur final that finishes on Saturday at the Masters. They get to play the National. And then drive, chip, and putt on Sunday.
Which is
and
cool with the kids.
Monday's practice rounds, Wednesday's par 5, Thursday starts the tournament. Now, if you guys aren't watching golf, now is the opportunity to start watching golf and get you a bourbon, grab you a pour,
Definitely.
and see if it doesn't make golf more exciting to you if you weren't a golf fan already.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And worst case scenario, if you're
You
not,
just drink some good bourbon.
You just drink some good bourbon. You
Change
watch,
the channel.
Change the channel. And still try to find the Masters logos on clothing, because it still is really nice clothing. Actually.
Exactly. No, it's good clothing. I enjoy it. It's fun to get out there, and especially it's fun to drive, chip, and putt with the kids.
The most amazing grass you'll ever see in your life is on that course.
It is.
Yeah. And so now there's also other golf things too, and that to be mentioned, there's also another really big whiskey that we don't need to forget about that's associated with golf, and that would be Scotch.
Yeah.
And so thank you to the Scotsmen for originating golf.
Right.
And also for really good whiskey.
Yes.
And it just so happened that this is a really big thing here, but at the same time, also, if you start following golf and figuring out what some of the sponsors are, especially in the alcohol world, there's several vodkas that get on there for big sponsorships.
Oh, yeah.
Glenmorangie was a big one years ago, which is the single malt Scotch. And then I would be interested to see moving forward if they don't have some, different brands bourbon-wise that start jumping on those as well.
That would be pretty neat. I mean, we've seen it in other shows and stuff like that on TV that have gotten bourbon in there.
Right.
And so you never know how as big as bourbon's gotten. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, for sure. And some people might not be huge Woodford fans, but I don't think Woodford's ever let me down.
No, not at all. I mean, it's a great go-to.
Yeah. And as for a daily go-to, now we're drinking it neat. We've got it in a rocks glass. Yeah. I don't typically drink Woodford.
Me neither.
In a Glencairn?
No.
Yeah. But what I typically like to do is sometimes put it over an ice cube.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, to me it just opens it up a little bit more, and it's good it's good by itself, neat, but on the rocks is good too.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's versatile, and you can put it in cocktails. It's not something that I put cocktails in, but I can specifically see people recognizing this bottle at a bar, especially if they're in from out of town to come to this golf course. And they have a hospitality house that has this specific bourbon there, and say they want a Manhattan or an Old Fashioned, and they recognize Woodford very easily.
Well, and they probably had it. It's easy, and they know it's good.
It is a standard mash, so therefore you've got rye in the content, so that's going to have a little bit of that note that you do want for your Old Fashioned or Manhattan anyway.
Guys, again, like, subscribe, hit the button down below. Appreciate it. Cheers
to you guys.
So where are we going to go to next?
All right, so that's where we got to make a decision. Do we go similar mash or we go weeded and go from there?
Let's go similar mash.
Similar mash? All right, so we're going to go and we're going to switch competitors and distilleries, and now we're going to jump over to Buffalo Trace.
Yes, indeed.
And so we'll go Eagle Rare next, and then we've had several videos that Eagle Rare has been in, so you can tell that we are big fans of it. I'm even going to go not water. I'm going to go straight bourbon on top of that little bit that's in there.
Yeah.
Because if you're at a hospitality house and they don't have that capability, sometimes you just hand them your glass and they hand it right back to you. And that's completely fine. So I was just at an event where I was pouring up bourbon. And a lot of times I had the access to water bottles. And so for the guests, I would actually squirt water in there and then shake it around and then throw it out into the grass, essentially. And then there we go. We had at least a somewhat clean glass, but we're going straight direct bourbon on top of bourbon.
Which it's not gonna dilute it enough or anything.
Yeah, it's minimal at this point. So so Eagle Rare, Charles, we've mentioned it how many times in videos?
Pretty much almost every video.
And so not that we're saying that we're giant Eagle Rare fans. We just really like Eagle Rare.
We enjoy it.
We are able to get it in our area. Hopefully you guys are able to get it in your market as well. And in this case, I was seeing it in multiple bars.
Yes.
Almost every bar that I went to around town, and especially the hospitality houses, actually had Eagle Rare on the shelf because it's available in Georgia now.
It's available, and guess what? It's at a good price point too, and it's a good bourbon.
Yeah, and so Eagle Rare, which we've mentioned before, goes back to the 70s, the old Prentice Distillery, and it was created to essentially compete with another bird around 8 years old at 101 proof. So originally it was a 10-year 101 proof, and then they also had different proofs and different things that were made for the European markets and stuff like that were imported, and just as turkey was. So now you have the bird to compete with the bird. That was originally, again, Old Prince, which came to be Four Roses.
Right.
Yeah. And so now Buffalo Trace and Sazerac owns the right to it, so they do the distilling there, and I think it's just a really good drinking whiskey. I don't covet it.
No.
I don't seek it out and pay obscene
Exorbitant,
amounts
yeah.
for it, but I really do enjoy drinking it as a daily, as a when I can get it.
Yep.
At the bar, even if there's other options. I don't think it's ever let me down, really.
No, I mean, there you can see it out there some places way over MSRP, and we don't really get into prices here or anything else like that. If I can find it, it's at the right price point. That's what I get. I can get it.
Oh yeah.
And it's not. I'm with you. It's not something I'm going to look for. Oh, need to go out there and get this. Need to get this. If I come across it and I'm down a bottle and it's there at a recent price point, I'll grab it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And what's really neat, or not neat, cool, or excitable, is the fact that there's several bars around the area that have Eagle Rare here in our market for $7 a pour.
Yeah.
And that is spectacular.
That's a great price.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then up to $11, which is still good.
Which is not bad
But
at all.
it was just shocking to see it at 7.
Yeah.
And so I will say we were doing a small gathering, and they did have to leave the bottle on the table. And so it was a group of 6 of us, and over a course of 2 hours, there was no more bottle.
Right. That can definitely you can drink a bottle of this with your friends pretty easy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a very easy drink. Now, what's your thoughts on that first initial sip after Woodford now going on to Eagle Rare?
I get that dry fruity notes. That's right off the bat.
Do you get any of the mid, like a little bit of tannin in the middle, like you can tell it's got a little bit more oak to it?
Yeah.
Even though Woodford has that classic oak taste to it.
Right. But no, this to me, it might be because it's the difference between the toast. It also has toasted and everything else like
Could
that.
be.
I'm with you. I do get a little bit of that oak flavor.
Yeah,
So-
but those dried fruits, those
Yes.
figs, dates, you cannot get rid of the dark or dried fruits.
And I
it is
love
so
it.
good.
I
So
love
good.
it.
And so that gives you a little bit of a brief stint between those two, as far as Woodford versus Eagle, or Buffalo Trace versus
Brown one.
Woodford, or Sazerac versus Brown Foreman,
Yep.
something like that. And then I'm just glad to see those on the bar. I mean, that's pretty exciting in our area. Hopefully, it's a good price point in your area that has on their bar as well.
Yeah.
It's just not normally been at the hospitality houses.
No, we haven't seen it in a while, to be honest with you.
Right, yeah. And so then, I mean, once we're done talking about this one, moving on to Weller, that's even more exciting to
Yes.
see Weller out there.
Weller to me, and everybody talks about Weller. I mean, Eagle Rare's kind of always been out there. Depending upon the market, it's pretty available. Used to be, I should say.
Yeah.
This has always been kind of one for me. Weller is one that I've never really seen until back in the old days when everything was available.
Right.
Now, the Weller was one of the first ones that seems like it just went like
Yeah,
through the roof.
disappeared.
Yeah,
and
just
then
through the roof.
then once you did find it, it went through the roof.
Yep.
And so, which we'll finish up here on Eagle Rare, and then we'll switch right over to Weller for
yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
cheers to you guys. Hope you
Cheers.
have something good in your glass. Again, this is bourbon and golf, and we are referring to what bourbons you want to drink at a golf course.
Yep. Which
So-
ones are available that we've
Which
seen?
ones are available at the hospitality houses and the bars while the major golf event is in our area.
Right. And ones we actually enjoy.
And ones we actually enjoy. And there's one thing that we've been forgetting to mention. The control. By all means, if the control is available all the time, at will, that should be at every bar. Especially during any golf
Oh
event.
gosh,
Yes.
during any type of sporting event.
And as long as we're doing good on time, we will compare the control to the last drinks that we have.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Yeah.
No, I'm impressed to see this. Some of these out there. I mean, it's one you would not, especially Eagle Rare. It's one of the ones where I was like, really? We're actually seeing it out there, and it's. I don't want to say it's plentiful, but it's available.
I'm just glad that people are recognizing the brands as far as what they are, because a lot of these things
Yes.
weren't available, and they're recognizing that they are available now. And let's let the guests drink on them, or let our patrons drink on them.
Right, and people that actually maybe just want to try something that they haven't tried before. It's available for them out there. That might not be in their market, but here they are in Evans for the golf tournament, and they can try it.
And so the other thing that I want to briefly mention about golf courses and golf and bourbon is, so not just here at this tournament that we're seeing them at the hospitality houses or hearing about them, but if you go to your local golf course or our local golf course,
Yep.
these bottles might be available at the bar, and you might be wondering if that's something good to pair with it being really warm. These are lighter.
Yes.
They're not what as a soupy. uncut,
Uncut,
unfiltered,
unfiltered.
soupy bourbons. Super heavy bourbon. They're lighter but easy drinking, and so it doesn't necessarily feel like you're getting burned up if you're drinking them outside. Similar to when we did the beach bourbons.
Yeah.
It's specific ones that work well for temperature,
Right.
and there's nothing wrong with putting ice on them. But I did serve some bourbons at an event last night, and it was about 89 degrees. It was outside. It was warm.
Muggy.
And they were asking specifically which ones. So there was an order that I went in and having the guests try different bourbons because of essentially the drinkability, the lightness to them.
Yeah, and that's the one thing you don't see any barrel proofs or anything full proofs or anything of that nature out here.
Not normally.
Not normally.
Not unless it's in an air-conditioned inside type
Right.
situation,
Yep.
and then at that point, I call that a bourbon bar.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because if they're rolling out that kind of stuff, that's really cool.
That's exactly.
Now, some golf courses, don't get me wrong, some of the really high-end ones, they do have those. They're known for having those, but that's usually not something you're going to drink before you go golf.
No, that's after.
That's usually after you've already played. You're sitting down for a meal. You know, I don't know too many people, which I know there are people that are going to call us out and says I know plenty of people.
And if you do, hey, put it in the
Put it
comments.
in the comments and let us know that you know tons of people that do it. That I don't know too many people that pregame with barrel proof whiskey.
Nope. No, if anything, it's just like you said, it's going to be after the fact, sitting down with the guys, having a meal, having a pour, and then time to go.
Yeah, I mean, one of the last times that I had a really nice pour of whiskey at a golf course was during a friend of ours' bachelor party. And I got to be honest with you, of what was available on the menu, Macallan 12.
Really?
Yeah, I actually went Scotch on it because I knew that sherry cask Scotch would go well right before we played.
Right.
I don't want to be feeling sluggish. I don't want to be like punched in the mouth with something that's really overproof. That's an 86er.
Yep.
And so with what was available. Now, had some of this been available, I would have chose something different, but that was what was available at that specific location. Either way, bourbon and golf is fun.
Bourbon and golf is always good.
The other thing that's really cool about this is the fact that Woodford is minis.
Yes.
And so if you need to sneak them in your golf bag, Woodford has plenty of minis. Now, one of the other things that we had talked about is so does Elijah Craig.
Right.
And so that's another good bourbon to put on the golf course or in your golf bag. But I actually didn't see Elijah Craig at too many of these bars.
Right.
And I haven't been seeing them around the bars. I don't know why they're not doing that, but on the golf course, it works great.
Minis are great, especially if you can get them on ice. Oh, get them chilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which Charles can attest to this too. We were golfing once before, and I was using Irish whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're Bourbon Banter Evans, but when you have certain things available, you use certain things. And Irish whiskey that was cold in the cooler worked out really well.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
So how we move on to the next one?
Yep. After you, sir.
All right. So a little bit of Weller Special Reserve, also known as the Green Label.
Green. Yep, the green bottle.
Also known as Weller's, which is wrong. It's just Weller.
Weller. Yeah.
Just Weller.
There's no S on there.
Yeah.
And I still love that Weller. What do they do? The twist off.
Still have the twist.
I love the twist off.
Yeah. Well, you know, with the exception of the antique, the CYPB, and the foolproof.
But they're lower. They're lower end ones. Yes.
Right. Well,
and when I say lower end,
this and the 12.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it the 12 necessarily low end, but you know they follow suit. I do like the
lower
screw
price
cap.
point. How about that?
I do like the screw cap.
I do like it.
But you know what I do like about Weller? I do like that they revamped the bottle. But now that I look back and see the old squat bottle that they were in, kind of miss the old plastic screw cap.
Ah, yeah, I forgot about that.
The old squat bottle.
Yeah, instead of the aluminum.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you go back long enough in time, then you would have had a different situation with a strip, and you would have a cork as well. But so Weller is a really old brand, completely older than these, and it goes back a good ways. When I say completely older, that's not true. Let me rephrase that. Stitzel Weller that was using different brand names. So I'm not going to bring up the original year that the brand Weller came out because I'm going to admit that I don't actually know that.
Right.
When they first started making Weller, and a lot of it was antique and it was a 107 and things like that. Sometimes it was 110 right at close to barrel proof as possible, things of that nature. They had all these different spin-offs. They had gold veins, and they're all in different squat bottles, of course. But they did have, of course, technically we should be saying Stitzel Weller spurred off into other brand names.
Yeah.
And, you know, Fitzgerald, you know, David Nicholson, things like that. And then, you know, Weller came about, and it has to do with Stitzel Weller from back in the day when those two came together, created their, you know, bond, if you want to call it that. And then the brands acquired, came into this, and then boom, now you have some Weller. And that's the shortest version and a terrible version of that.
No, it's not a terrible version. I mean, it is, no, you're exactly right. But it's good. This one right here, it's good to see it actually out there, at least this week, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it in the stores too. And it's just, it's a good bourbon.
It's easy drinking, easy to sip on. I was not the biggest fan of the Weller Green Label as I am of
the 107.
the Weller 12 that I
Oh yeah.
This was oddly enough at the hospitality house.
Oh, was it? Was it really?
Yes, so they actually had Weller 12 at the hospitality house. And I was really impressed to see that this was available for the group that we were, entertaining, if you want to call it that. And I thought that was really neat. And as iconic as that bottle is people recognize the 12.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, I know what that is, so let me grab a pour of that. And that was the lighter one with a little bit more depth to it because it's aged 12 years.
Correct.
And there you go.
Yep.
But the one that they weren't recognizing, that was at the same bar,
Which is, I'm surprised about this.
the CYPB.
Yep. CYPB.
The patrons weren't necessarily sure, but these were actually at the same bourbon bar that we were pouring for these patrons. I thought that was really cool.
And which one would you have gone for?
So
The first pour. If you.
the first pour, just knowing that the foolproof was also there.
Oh, was it really?
This
Okay.
is really cool that they were
Heck
able to
yeah.
acquire these. And, this could be years of accumulation for these patrons. It just depends. There's all kind of different levels for hospitality houses and things of that nature.
Right.
But knowing that foolproof was there and knowing that it's one of my favorites, it is 114 versus 90 versus 95. And so this is L22 that I saw the laser codes
Okay.
on there, on that particular CYPB.
Right.
So I would have tried that one because I haven't had it.
Right.
And then I would have gone probably Weller Foolproof, and then finish it with a neat, nice, easy, smooth drinking 12 years.
That's the order I would have gone in.
Right.
Also.
But let's go ahead and I gotta be honest. So Blanton's also made the appearance.
Yes.
That was more recognizable to the patrons than anything else.
Of course.
Everybody knows that bottle.
Everybody knows
It's
the bottle.
Such a great bottle.
Yep. It's a great bottle and everything, and you know what? It's a good pour.
It's not a bad pour whatsoever.
It's not my favorite, but
mine either. But that bottle, they killed it on the packaging.
They did.
Yeah.
I mean, and also getting the horses. Everybody wants to get the horses.
That's right.
I even want to get the horses eventually. But, hey, it is what it is.
Now, switching over from standard mashes into wheat, you definitely get the smoother notes,
Oh, yeah.
but not necessarily what I would consider to be more smooth than Eagle
No.
Rare. And smooth is probably a term that's probably used a little bit too often
Yeah, I would.
when describing things.
Yeah, no.
But there is a distinct smoothness to whiskeys.
Yeah, I mean, it's the mouthfeel. When we're talking about smooth, it's the mouthfeel, and it's just the way the way it goes down and everything. There is a difference,
Right.
but not saying it's better at all. It's just different.
Sure. Oh, and then let me go ahead and clarify, just because I did such a short version. Stitzel-Weller is no longer Weller. Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace produced his own rights to it, and that's their wheat mash, proprietary wheat mash actually.
Yep.
And so that's one of the brands that they create. So that is Weller in the beginning. Years later, a poll done by a lot of really big fans of bourbon created CYPB.
And
I don't know if we've mentioned CYPB before.
we've had in a couple of videos. I think it was because at first we didn't like it.
The original ones.
The original ones.
Yes.
But these have come a long way.
Yeah, that's a L21, and I definitely remember saying how good that one was.
L21 just was off the chain for a lot of Buffalo Trace.
It really was. And so I was glad to see these after a golf event, leaving the course, coming to the hospitality house, coming to the bar, and they had these special little nuggets, if you want to call it that, for them to partake in.
Mhm.
You had your standard ones. These were all there. But then they had this as a separate, really cool scenario for them to try as
And
like, thank you for coming to the Masters. Right?
Thank you for coming, but also ones that not a lot of people have been able to get a hold of. And so that's a great way to get your patrons something
right
for them to
And
have.
so if you have the chance to go to a golf club or a bar in a golf event, these actually work out really well.
Yeah, they do.
Because they're lighter in character,
Yep.
easy drinking, they don't burn you up or anything like that, and I think they pair really well with golf, which tendencies are it's warm.
Now we just need to get them with minis, right?
Yeah, yeah. So again, thank you guys. Cheers. And let us know what you prefer when you're golfing, or if you've been golfing and what you want to drink after, or what you drink before, if you take a pre-round pour.
Yeah, really. In the comments, leave us anything in the comments. We check the comments. We try to answer everything in the comments. Really would like to know what you take out on the golf course. And also, if you hit that like button and that subscribe button, we appreciate it.
Heck, thank you. And that's it for Bourbon and Golf from us. We thought this was a pretty small, pretty cool description of what we've seen.
Yeah.
Just wanted to share with you guys and get a little bit of input from you as far as what you guys' thoughts are for Bourbon and Golf.
Do we want to try the control?
Oh yeah.
Against it?
How's our time?
We're getting close to 30, but we're good. And what we do, we're keeping this one. We're trying to keep it at a certain what, but hey, uncut, unfiltered.
That's right. Yeah.
We're gonna ask.
All right, let's test the control versus the bourbons found at bars for golf.
And as you can tell, the control is getting empty. It's because we drink it.
It is very depleted.
Yeah, it's not just because we put it out here for show. It's actually one that we really enjoy.
Yep.
And
if
we
you
drink.
really want to join in, let us know, and you can come take a crack at the control. Which that's what happened last time. Is there was a good bit of pours going around trying to figure out what the control was.
Right.
So, cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
It was really fun doing that bourbon tasting for those guys, and then teaching them that there was 2 different noses that would be crosswise on the brain. It was really neat.
Yeah, that's a good story. And hey, if you try it, I think Justin might have mentioned it before. Try it, right side,
Left side.
then left side.
Your brain reads crossways
Yep.
to your nostrils, so you get 2 different noses. There's usually a sweet and a spicy side.
That one is just.
I like that character in that one.
Yeah, I do.
That's got good flavor.
It's just.
Ooh, after
It's got a little bit of tingle to it.
makes you wonder what the proof is.
Mm-hmm. You know what? It's the control for a reason.
Yep. It stands up, and it has stood up time and time again after multiple.
It stands up against a lot of bottles. A lot of bottles. But no, just like Justin said, honestly, if you want to be a part of it, let us know in the comments, and we'll let you give it a try.
Yeah.
Next video.
Yeah. Give us ideas for videos too. We're
Yes.
not opposed to that. We are going to have some other videos that we've been making notes on coming forward. Maybe some top 5 regular day bourbons.
Yep. Maybe
maybe top 5 miss out on bourbons.
right. Maybe we got. I think we got. Might be one coming up. Some old dusties maybe.
Yes, we're going to have some old dusties for sure.
Yeah.
And stay tuned. We will have the Bison series video, and that is a pour of cross bison extract, bison butt pour,
And BBE.
BBE.
Yep.
The bison secretion.
And I'll tell you what, it's going to be great going back through these, because the last one is just, to me, it's good.
Yeah, that's I was super stoked to do that video, to pick it, and then now we'll do the video to show you guys specifically what all 3 of them rank in itself.
Yep. Sounds good.
So cheers to you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining in, and hope you had something good in your glass. And what are you golfing and bourbon with?
Yep. Like, subscribe, guys.
Bourbon and golfing with? Uncut, unfiltered.
Yeah. Uncut, unfiltered. Like, subscribe. Appreciate it. Cheers.